And welcome back. We're picking up where we left off last time in Whiskerwood. At the end of the last one, I did notice I put the warehouse the wrong way around. So let's fix that. In fact, I'll go... We probably want two big warehouses here, so I want it that way around. And that way around, let's say. Oh, it probably could have stayed the way around it was, but that, I think, will be a little bit better. Leave that one as general, so we want disable endpoints. This one we want to be very specific and tell it, hey, only build or only accept food stuff, basically. The processed food stuff, so we've got plenty of food storage near our farm or cooking area. Cotton into threads. We're going to wait until we at least pay the first taxes to see how much cotton we have sitting around before we turn that on. But we researched that for a reason. We think we're going to be floating a lot more cotton going forward. Don't need the cannery, don't need the outlet pipe. Let's do tea cultivation so we can see if there's any particularly good places to grow it. Homegrown tea will facilitate independence, but demands fertilizer to grow properly. So I don't know if that's because there's no fertility for it, so you've got to fertilize places, or if it just demands fertilizer. Both kind of work for us. We can work with both of them. And I probably want a heater around to work the boilers out this end of things. Probably put another iron tender in, say, there. Whisker ship, which means spring doth have come, which is kind of what we've already guessed. Apprentice consider it slow? No. Apprentice Swift, I'm not too worried about. Swift would be nice. I'd like if I think I'm gonna reroll it because that's the only good one here that I'm thinking of taking. Apprentice can't smell. Yeah, definitely take you. Content. Take you. We'll take you as well. Okay. Here's the rest. The apprentice can't smell is a perfect one to work here. Wait, no, that's the... Is that the spot where I can put anyone? The other one's the... Yes. Okay. So that's anyone. So we'll put the... Can't smell in that spot, and then the apprentice can't smell goes in the other spot. Diligent considerate. Okay, so we've got an apprentice can't smell. Just put the strong shoulders in here, and the can't smell apprentice in the that spot. So this area is going to basically be constantly polluted because this is a polluting industry. By putting can't smell in here, they won't complain about the smell. Light ship. Middle option again. Once we really get the bread going, we'll probably maybe try to move up to the highest tier. We'll see. Complaints about... Oh, because we just took more people, and that makes sense. Where do I want housing? I probably want some more housing over here to work that stuff. At some point, I've got a hole over here where I want the steam to get into anyway, so running the steam down this way is not a problem. We want to do it at some point. Okay, so you're done, so now I can tell you... Accept food, accept food. We need one here. Do we have any swift or that aren't miners, please? No. No, I don't have swift or strong shoulders, so let's get a healthy and inquisitive content. Or minding the boilers over here. They're going to need a whole lot less mining and come where they're warming up, but for the moment, they need to be minded. Well, this has been a good vein of copper to be chasing. It's probably why the copper levels popped back up. It's good to see. Tax collector arrives tomorrow. I think we have enough that we just pay it mostly with just trinkets alone. Okay, D185. Yeah, mild pollution. That would get closer to full if we didn't have the mild pollution. And again, a lot of that's probably either people working in the industrial district or people working down in this distant farming community. Here's the tax collectors. Yep, 12, almost 13,000 debt. Well, 12,500 debt, yeah. And yeah, we're gonna pay a lot of it with just the trinkets. Okay, not quite all of it, but a lot. And then we can easily cover the rest with cotton. Disregard the fact that we got gold bullion as like a currency reserve here. Okay. And one of the gamey things you can do, especially in the higher difficulties, is not full pay, specifically that tax. Yeah, we're not quite at the point where we're going to jump to the highest tier here, but... Tempt to go this option for the copper bars. You know, let's give in to temptations. Bread and copper bars. I could probably be a whole lot more pickier than I am because I've got lots of re-rolls left. So we're slowly working our way up the mountain to forcing as it goes. At some point, when we're all the way up the top, I'll probably do the opposite, which will set a bunch of farms. Just turn the whole island into a giant tree farm. Giant, very vertical tree farm. Let's work on potentially trying to work that extractor. Getting the conveyor belt running across the entire island. So the extractor... I think it just needs to touch a building. I don't think we need to, like, slap it there. Okay, that doesn't count as adjacent, apparently. Maybe it needs to be ground floor. Yes, needs to be ground floor like that. Okay. And then we can tell it what to extract. Enable. There should be flour in this warehouse, right? Yeah, there's flour in the warehouse. And most of her flour is, of course, in that depository. I don't know why it's saying 0. See no reason why it should be 0, but maybe that's what's on the conveyor belt at the moment. Okay, I think we're going to go a little higher than that, just so we can run it over pathways. Yeah, that's what we're looking for. You. Yeah, basically just running it across the island here. Obviously, at some point we're going to run out of logs. This isn't a perfect system, but... So if the extractor is working right, we should see... Degradation, enable farmland to grow tea. Should see our flour exiting the warehouse on this end of the island for transit across the island. So we can use the contingent to convert A into B, okay. Okay, and the other thing we wanted to modify was something. Research. That's the next research. Well, we want the tea roaster. Even if we're going for the vine tea, we want the tea roaster. Go get that building. And then we can look at the fertility. So, tea. Terrible there. Of course, it is terrible. Apparently not... Oh, well. I was about to say, apparently not everywhere, but then I'm realizing, wait, no, the places where it's green are the fields we've been fertilizing. We haven't been fertilizing all the fields, you see. So that's actually going to be a good way to check to see which fields have been set to fertilize. Is I just come on tea leaves and look around my fields. A lot of the fields don't necessarily need it. Some of them we've decided the nutrients lowered enough that we wanted to fertilize them. So we put fertilizer in it. So yeah, tea is going to be terrible everywhere, so we could technically do it in the middle here. We might do it in the middle here. We're not going to do it right now. Don't necessarily need regular tea. I think we'll probably try to jump straight to the fancy tea, which is tea and spices, in which case we'll probably be doing the same thing. It'll be tea and spices on this island in the middle. Yeah, this is a very labor-efficient way of getting things across the island, although not potentially a fast way of getting things across the island. And it's not warm, but it's warmer. So the heaters are still going, but it's warm enough so the fields can work, even if the heaters aren't affecting the fields, I think. Oh, yeah, I definitely need more lumber coming in. Well, this is going to produce, or need a lot of planks as well, so... We'll set the planks low-ish, like 200, so they don't eat every last drop of, timber. Oh, how does the table salt production look? We're up to 18. Let's turn table salt on for the skewers, specifically. And the bakery. Give it a little bit more time to see if it can get ahead for the other industries. And yeah, I think we're going to mine most of this. One exception, I would like to make sure that we don't do that weird underwater thing again. It wasn't a problem, it was easy to fix, but... You definitely don't need to mine like I'm doing. I'm mining pretty aggressively because I'm thinking of putting a bunch of mushroom farms down here eventually, if we keep the game going long enough. This is definitely overkill from a clearing the area out standpoint. Okay, that's probably enough for the floor. And then I just need to keep the miners close enough to the mining spot to slowly work their way through it. You might carve some of that out later again, but for the moment, it'll be fine. Missing inputs. I guess we must be short on... Yeah, we're out of bronze. Not copper for once. Oh, the bronze worker's working, so we should get some bronze soon. Well, I've got 2 assigned to bronze. Let's probably when you get back to bronze. 2 assigned to copper. Let's sign when you back to bronze. Other than building things, there's a lot more consumption for bronze than there is for raw copper bars. So the building things like the pipes, if you're building like 100 length of pipe, it's 100 length of copper bar, so. Did the gin get completed? Yes. Works only apprentices and only this type. Okay, we happen to have them, so that's not a problem. Use scissors to turn that on. And then let's put a pretty restriction on thread if we don't already have one. Yeah, 100 is probably fine. The fact that we're sitting at 0 is a sign that we're probably overusing thread. get back to extending the conveyor belt. Okay, we're just throwing machinery at you. And then maybe a woven cloak or two. Yep. Fly ship, then the whisker ship, and then the smuggler? Oh no, the smuggler's coming next. Okay. So the smuggler, we sell rope to. And probably sell some furniture too. Sell the woven cloaks. It's starting to warm up, although we will sell you some fuel in the short term. There we go. Yeah, that's about right. That seems good. So we're getting another 13 gold bullion. So, because of the specific construction project that we're doing right now, this one is going to be good because I need a lot of logs and such. So, we'll run that one. Also keeps the debt fairly low. Tax debt pretty low. And here comes in the whisker ship. Swift farmer, yeah. Apprentice healthy, yeah. Heavy eater, no. Okay, we're just gonna take those two. Refuse the rest. Continue expanding the housing district we have over here. And then get back to our travel with the conveyor belt. Okay, I'm gonna drop to ground level just to save a little bit on the logs here. And then we can use planks just to run the log. Bit here. I can use those supports if we go up to them. So let's do lift upstairs. Okay, more than halfway there. slowly working our way around the island. Our goal is to shove it in the back of this warehouse over here, so that we have a consistent supply of flour arriving to supply the bakeries. Well, bakery. We'll have bakeries when... We'll build a second bakery once we've got the supply set up. We don't have haulers having to haul it across the map for us. Okay, so we give them trinkets, which is one of our core exports. We have so much fish, we'll try to sell them fish as well. Send fish with them as well. Okay. Next is going to be cotton. We're at partial taxation, so we're getting most of the taxes already with all this stuff if it's fully renewable. There we go. Let's think about heating. We're going to want this area down here heated. At some point. Okay, something like that. And then miners, we're going to have... Our steam is coming in there. So what I'm going to try to do is run the steam line effectively under the road. Well, actually, no, I don't want to put that there until we got the road in, so hold on for a bit. Okay. This is the gift supplies for the taxes we just paid. I'm going to do a reroll here. We don't want stowaways. I don't need the old rags. Don't need the fuel. We're not in the desert for 9 bars. Yep. Better. Yeah, better. There we go. Taking the copper, we should get the smelters to stop, you know, smelting the copper. Instead, focus on bronze. There's the tea roaster. At some point, we may want the ability to make our own medicine. Probably going to want our ability to make pots at some point. Make the run to the next tier. It's expensive. It's going to be 233 iron bars, copper bars, bronze bars. Although none of the techs are particularly cheap. You know, we'll get the rail system. Swift long-distance rail. I don't know how that works. Might be one way to help get Whiskers back across the island. Reduce the long paths. Some Whiskers are walking extremely long distances. Is their route disrupted? No, we just have a big sprawling empire on 4 islands. And a storage system that would make many a bureaucrat cry. We don't get a Whisker ship pending. Slow, no, swift. If it was a farmer or miner, I'd take. Positive patient. Yeah, reroll. Can't smell miner, I can probably do some stuff with. The smelters, for example, are all miners. Okay, we're gonna keep it simple, we're just gonna take one. Apprentice, miner, Cedric Masternet, okay. And then for mining, we have a can't smell, which we'll stick in that spot. So we get less people complaining about the smell. There's a bunch of wood coming in. Okay, so conveyor belt. Go there. Upstairs. Oh, I don't have enough clearance there. Never mind. Not what we're gonna do. I think we're going to get up on top of the plumbing for the next section. Again, to save on cost and keep it out of the way. There goes our logs getting just a little bit farther along. The journey that the flour takes from mill to bakery. We'll probably go ahead and finish the stream off when we get the flour all the way to the bakery. We're running a little bit long to get there. And the question is, do I want to run that way along the island and over, or this way along the island and over? Both are options. What boats do we have coming in today? Nothing. Or we have a supply ship. Up to 15C. Okay, so our fuel demands are about to completely collapse because the steam radiators are all turned off. That's good. Also means these have probably turned off. Yeah. Okay, you might be time for you to move. Nope, wrong. Found some more coal. It's not a lot more, but it's a little more. We'll go update this one while we're thinking about it. Oops, that was not what I wanted. Got V needs you to be in slice mode already. Or to change the floor you're on. Okay, got some nice logs come down our conveyor belt hill. Here. Woodcutter. Okay. Okay, so that's going to be easy. Extend. I just need to put a single steep staircase in, like so. Oh, interesting. There's some tin ore under the main island here. And some rock salt. We go down deep enough. Okay, almost mined out the pathways to for the steam line to get down to the radiators down here. Day 190. Approval is not up as much as I'd like. In fact, it's actually down, arguably. 100% sure why. Pollution's actually fallen, so it's gotta be less positives, I think, being made. Although I did swap, on the last delivery, I swapped to the one providing logs, so it might be that we just didn't have the level of tea that we previously normally had. Could see that. Colonists wanting their tea, you see. It's totally a believable thing. Fly ship. That's only 12 logs. I'm not going to touch it for 12 logs. I need more than 12 logs, so I'm going for that option. Because logs are what we're going for. Okay, let's swap one of these back over to potash. You back to fertilizer. Okay, so now I can run my pipeline. There's passenger rail being developed. I guess they finished the task they were in the middle of doing before they go to do whatever else they're doing for the night. Could do that, but that's more steam and not super desperate for that transit method. The Whisker launcher seems a little whimsical for me. I appreciate the stairs and their complexity. Do the apothecary expansion. Could do the blacksmith. Don't really need fluid control right now. Or do I want to start? Yeah, we'll start working into tier 3. gonna raise everyone's expectations, but I think we can work with that. They're now hooked up with underroad connections. Not quite full approval, although, yeah, that probably lines up with the fact that we now have T. So the T was making a difference for the approval purposes, at least. So we can mine all the ore out of the floor here, and then we'll backfill the holes. Once we've backfilled the holes, we'll go ahead and start up mushroom farming. The smuggler. Sell you ropes. We'll sell you some furniture. Not a lot of furniture, but some. Got a surprising amount of cut stone. We're going to hold on to that for road making. Not going to sell you any planks. We'll sell some fuel. We're going to sell more fuel. Nah, we got a lot of gold bullion just sitting in stockpile. We'll just hold on to our fuel for the moment. Tax collector. Trinkets first. Surplus fish. And then start selling off some cotton to make the tax bill. They're doing large shipment. I could go for the very large for things like ration meals, but I'm not that worried about it. And they don't, other than gold bullion, they don't take anything that's particularly advanced. It's mostly ores and farmables. Do we go for the 15? There's not much tea in the second tier. Don't really need the machine parts. Yeah, we'll go for the 15 because it's... I'm not going to go for the really expensive one. The middle one's a bit poor today. Going through little rerolls, I probably should have taken one of the earlier choices. Yeah, we'll go ahead and take this one. The planks will at least keep them from needing to make more planks. We can take the tailored cloaks. We can sell the woven ones later. The whisker ship. No, no. No. Swift wouldn't be too bad, but I would like more than just one Swift. Debatable how much of a problem that would be. We had him working in the... Because in theory we have logistics bringing this stuff over, so he's only having to walk a very short distance. But no, we'll avoid that. Avoid slow. And I don't really need the whiskers right now. You know, Strong Shoulders Craftmaster is not bad. Apprentice Swift is not bad. Not types we need right now, but we'll take them. Apparently I've reached the level that we're a Whisker Nation. The achievement I just got. We'll refuse the rest. Which presumably is for having a certain number of whiskers. When I was looking at it earlier, it was like 233, yeah. So yeah, we have the magical number of whiskers. Let's get back to extending the conveyor belt, because we're trying to get that done before we bring the stream to a close today. So each stretch of the conveyor belt costs 1 log and 1 plank. And then to elevate it, I'm having to use 1 log per elevation. But I have decided, whether it's correct or not, that it's worth the elevation for the accessibility. Okay, that woodcutter needs access to more lumber. It is a way up for the next ones. Yeah, there's a couple different ways to deal with these heights. So we could be doing the elevator method instead. That may in fact be more efficient than trying to do these massive, very steep staircases up the hillside. And that probably when it comes time to farm this, we should put elevators in rather than staircases. The staircases are just cheap and quick to do. We don't need those ones. Let's pull those ones out. Almost there. One island to get across. Camp is idle. Okay, I'm gonna idle mining camp. Every time I come over here thinking it's going to be the end for this mining camp, it isn't. Although, I say that apparently jinxing it, because it is time for that camp to move to a new spot. And then we got the earthworks down here, which is idle for the moment. And I expect it to... Well, actually, I don't expect it to say idle. I'm expecting it to fill some holes over here, so... Yeah, as we mine the ore out of the floor, we can backfill it with earth mirror fill. Yeah, so we just need the logs to run the last little bit of the island here. Which, by the looks of it, is going to make this quite a long episode. We're up on an hour and a bit here. But I'm going to finish this run out to the Baker storage. So we've got the flour weaving across the entire island. The conveyor belt isn't quite full. Although it might be a little bit weird if the conveyor belt was the entire way full. Make 1 wheat into 5 flour every 90 seconds or so. I wouldn't be surprised if we're actually making wheat faster than we can turn it into flour, but... Yeah, what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to run it this way, and then once we run out of buildings, we're going to just drop on the floor and run along the floor for a bit. It won't be out of the way anymore, but we're not using that floor yet, and we can always re-elevate it when the time does come. Oops. Enough to go to there. Okay. But yeah, we'll have our downward drop-down slide down to the floor here, and then we'll just run it along, out, and up into the back of you. Actually, I'll probably do the elevator right here and then run it across, so we have ground space for the bakery back there. Arm gets up to 30. What's thread up to? Thread's full. Okay. So our bottleneck right now on making more clothing is either making clothing or making... I don't know, it's going to be making clothing, actually. There's an argument to swap you to... not you. Oh, it'd be the one down here. Swap you to making proper clothing. So the worn ones. Reroll here. Whoops. I think I just spent 2 rerolls to do 1 reroll effectively. Accident. Do it over there. Apprentice Optimist Monarchist. We don't know Monarchist. Snores, no. Swift Can't Smell is nice. We'll take that one. Strong Shoulders on a Miner isn't bad. Okay, we'll refuse the rest. Camp is idle. Okay. Move you over there, or we can run deeper on the mine over here, which is what we're going to do. The only interesting resources down here at the bottom of the mine, except for maybe copper. So hopefully we don't run out of copper again. Because that's what this over here is for. A little bit of copper there. Slowly and surely we cross the island. The big holdup being the lack of logs. Almost there. Well, almost to my slide, and then we still got the island. Although the island will be pretty cheap. Right now it's 2 every square. Along the floor here, it'll be 1 every square for logs, so cost will come down quite a bit for that. Smuggler has arrived. Smuggler gets ropes. We'll sell him 25 furniture, a whole bunch of woven cloaks. We'll sell him some fuel. Back off on the fuel. Just enough to get, just so that we're not wasting past 14. Not gonna go for 15. Like there. Tax collector will arrive. Here's the tax collector. Once again, get all the trinkets. And a bunch of the fish, because anything above 250 fish is probably more than we need. We could actually sell some of the gold and give him some of the gold bullion. I think I'm gonna go away. But no, we got cotton for a reason. Ship. 27 I'll take. Take the first one here. Again, because we're looking for the logs to get across the island here. Copper, iron, and bread. Yeah, let's do those two. Camp needs adjustment. Okay, it's the mining camp down at the bottom of a hole. This is, I think, the one that was actually mining some rock, salt, and tin. Although I think this would be its end. Oh. Maybe not. That's the vestiges of a little bit of rock salt you can see in the corner there. Keep it running. We might even move it over there. We'll see what we find. Okay. Whisker ship. Compassionate, healthy farmer? Yeah. Or we're just taking the one. Actually, I might not want to run quite to there, because I'm going to need to get it up a floor. Like so. Aha. Almost there. There we go. That should be enough to finish. Just enough to finish. Into the warehouse goes all the flour. That should make it really easy for the bakeries over here to very rapidly acquire their flour for making bread. And or fancier stuff, if we decide to go with fancier stuff. Although, what, yeah, it's bread or jam pastries. We're not farming any berries at the moment, so bread. Bread, 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 and more bread. And with that, I think that is a good place to put the part break in. We're going to see the end report for the day. And then for future days, we'll be having all the bread coming in. I may even set another bakery up now that we've got the bread no longer needing to be manually transported across the entire island chain. Flour just keeps going and going and going. I think we don't make so much enough that it's going to fully stockpile up on the entire conveyor belt, but who knows? I may be wrong, and it will. Oh, I might actually need to put more wheat into flour makers. Might not have enough conversion there. Day 195 has ended. Anyway, we're not getting as many positive thoughts because I didn't have any tea to give them tonight because we were getting more lumber. But yeah, 1,400 approval for one night is not bad. As you can see, that's just enough for me to basically constantly be running the trinket making, and still have the ability to pick choices for the incoming ships. So with that, if you're watching on YouTube, we probably will have another part up for you tomorrow, but that is where the stream for tonight is going to end. I'll have to do this outro, the scheduling for Twitch twice, because I think they're about to go into an ad. But if you're watching on YouTube, or on Twitch, well, specifically on Twitch, because this is the Twitch schedule, if you're watching this on YouTube live, or watching this on YouTube when this goes live, let me rephrase that. This is the stuff that should have been recorded over the last couple days, because this is going to be the recording schedule for the next 4 to 5 days. This is the part that should go live 6 days after I record this, so the schedule I'm about to read off is the future stuff for Twitch and the past for you on YouTube, as far as streaming and recording goes. Today was Saturday. We recorded Whiskerwood today. Tomorrow we're going to be continuing the Victoria 3 run as the Great Qing. Monday is going to be Humankind. I've got on the schedule that assuming we haven't won, so we're going to be continuing it. We'll see if we actually do win. We're not catching first yet, let's say. We're not falling farther behind, but we aren't catching them. Tuesday is going to be Shadow Empire. We didn't finish on the 13th. Bit more likely at this point to finish on the 17th. If for no other reason than the distance we went on the 13th is the distance we have left to go to win. So, if we continue the current pace, we should win. And then we'll be back to play this game that we're playing today, Whiskerwood, on Wednesday. Thursday is going to be Victoria 3 again. If my understanding on how long a Victoria 3 run takes, we'll probably be finishing up the Qing run on Thursday. Friday will probably be Humankind if we haven't finished it. I haven't decided what I'm going to do if we do finish it. I've seen some Darkest Dungeon content on YouTube recently, and I'm a little tempted to go back to Darkest Dungeon. Haven't done it on stream, and it's an interesting game. Don't promise that if I do run Darkest Dungeon that we'll finish it, though. I'm not very good at it. But that might be what takes over when we finish Humankind. We'll see. So that's the upcoming schedule. I hope you have all been enjoying. You're watching on Twitch. That, except for that Friday one, the one that I'm not sure what it's going to be, that is all the stuff that should have recorded over the last couple days. So if any of that stuff sounds interesting and you want to go watch it, you can't wait until it comes up on YouTube. You can always go watch the Twitch VODs, because the Twitch VODs will stay up for 14 days after the recording. The plan, usually without letting things to YouTube, is they're uploaded to YouTube before they come down off of Twitch. YouTube should be getting the local recording, so whatever goes up on YouTube should be in 1080p at 60 frames per second, whereas Twitch gets whatever the local internet can supply at the time. So it should be getting 60 frames per second because I have it set up to throttle the frame quality to keep the frame steady, but they might not always be getting 1080p. So with that, I'm going to wish you all the best of luck and a good time. Catch you all in the next one, and bye for now.